That was good.
It was talked about for years, and when it finally opened on July 3rd, the Assiniboine Park Zoo's Journey to Churchill exhibit was a huge hit.
This is so different than the zoo we've known growing up here.
But the news hasn't all been good for zoo officials. About a week after it opened, part of the exhibit had to be closed after the wolves managed to dig underneath a dividing fence and wander into the polar bear enclosure. The popular underwater walkway was shut down for a couple of months in September after the polar bears chewed through part of the waterproof barrier. Then in November, one of the zoo's 2 harbor seals died after getting stuck in an underwater drain. Adding to the zoo's hardships was the death of Baikal, an Amur tiger who died in September in a fight with another tiger after a gate separating the animals was mistakenly left unlocked. Calls for a national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women were triggered at the shores of the Red River when the body of 15-year-old Tina Fontaine was found in a bag. A number of protests were held, including one at Memorial Park, where demonstrators had tents set up for more than a week. In December, 16-year-old Rynell Harper echoed those calls when she spoke to the Assembly of First Nations. Harper was beaten and left for dead near the Midtown Bridge in November. Some have called her a hero for escaping the same fate as thousands of other Aboriginal females. Despite the calls, Prime Minister Stephen Harper and the federal Conservatives have continually said they will not initiate a national inquiry.
It's a celebration of the human rights heroes.
The Canadian Museum for Human Rights opened its doors for the first time last September, 2 years later than originally scheduled, and with a final price tag of $351 million. Still, the opening came with a special ceremony and concert at the Forks. But just because it was open didn't mean an end to the delays. On the first day the public could go through the doors, only 5 of 11 galleries were open. Museum President Stuart Murray took full responsibility for the delay. He would learn a month later that his term would not be renewed. All 11 galleries finally opened on November 11th.
Keep it going!
2014 also saw a new face take over the mayor's chair. Polls leading up to Election Day showed a tight race, but it turned into a landslide win, with Brian Bowman receiving nearly 48% of the votes to cruise to victory over Judy Washalisa-Lees. Bowman replaced Sam Cates, who stepped down after 10 years at the helm.
We got a lot of work to do, and whoever was elected would have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to restoring trust and faith in City Hall. We got a lot of challenges with infrastructure, and we've got a lot of work to do to build a growing, thriving, more modern city.
After conceding defeat in her second straight runner-up finish, Washalisa-Lees, a former NDP MP and provincial cabinet minister, announced she would be leaving politics for good. Investors Group Field will play a huge part of Winnipeg's 2015. In June, it will host 7 matches when Canada welcomes the FIFA Women's World Cup of Soccer. Then in November, it will be home to the 103rd Grey Cup. For Breakfast Television, I'm Brent Harder.